Howdy folks, Mark Wheeler here again with Wheeler Outdoors. Who would have thunk it? Wheeler Outdoors. Anyway, this is part trace. We talked about different types of jigs. We've talked about football heads real quick. So let's talk about swim jigs. Okay? I love me a swim jig. I really do. And it stems from my love affair with chatterbaits. Chatterbaits are just a bladed swim jig. More on that in another video. So swim jigs. Okay? Pretty cool stuff here. A swim jig, again, is one that can keel really well through the water, doesn't roll, doesn't do anything crazy, has a pretty stout hook, and a real flowy kind of trailer. Or a skirt, excuse me. Here's one, another one. Again, see how flowy how it just kind of moves around without really a whole lot of use. That's key. You don't want a very thick skirt, excuse me. You don't want a big thick skirt. You want a nice thin flowing skirt. Okay, very light skirt. Living rubber, stuff like that are what you want to go with. This is the Strike King Hack Attack. It's one of my favorite swim jigs. And there are others, but this is the one I've got in my hand right now. Let's show you what it is on the underneath. So, swim jig. What do I do with them? How do I use them? Stuff like that. Again, I talked about the skirt real quick, but the skirt's kind of important. It's what really gives the action to this bait. And if you notice, the skirt very flowing, and I kind of keep it kind of compact on a swim jig. Because you get a lot of misses and a lot of short strikes on it sometimes. So if it's compact and smaller, the bass can really get into it. But that's basically the simplest type that I can really, get into it about. Because the main thing behind a swim jig is the trailer. And I use a lot of different trailers. Depends on the mood of the fish, water temps, stuff like that. But the easiest one to start with is a good boot tail paddle tail. A lot of guys like the Caltex. I really like a swimming fluke. If I can find it. Of course I can't. Way to be prepared, Mark, for the video. So, I'll use cheese. I'll use a swim fluke if I want a bigger profile, it's usually a little thicker. If I want a little action, I'll use a double tail grub. That's the old school white, all white swimming jig with a twin tail or single tail grub. I mean that's old school right there. Anything with a lot of action, really. And I'm hoping I come down with the cold. Anyway, I'll use a lot of like Zoom Z-Craws, Rage Tails, the Rage Lizard, Anaconda, the big long ribbon tail I'll put behind there. Again, the Z-Craw. I don't have any Rage Tail ones with me right now. A Speed Crawl. That's a great one as a trailer. Basically, what you're looking for is anything that's going to give a lot of action to your swim jig. And how you fish them. Realistically, if you got the right trailer in the back and you got the right skirt and everything's working together, you really don't need to put a lot of action into it. The reason the guys were putting a lot of action is they were using Arky heads. Okay, I'm trying to find one real fast. I got my whole box right here. Like this. Okay, see that head? It doesn't really create a lot of action to the bait itself or the skirt. The skirts were a lot heavier, didn't have a lot of movement to them, so you had to actually impart a little bit of an action to get it to work. Nowadays, with these lighter skirts, they flow really nicely. Especially like a skirt like this one. This isn't a swim jig per se, but you see how flowing and different layers and different pulsations can come out of it is what you're looking for. And as well as trailers. I mean, literally they had harder plastic trailers, jigs, stuff like that. And it really created this where guys were, that could work the bait the best made the, caught a lot of bass. Nowadays, I mean, with the different trailers out there, literally, it's cast and reel. Maybe a couple little pops on it, not a whole lot of action. Catches you the bass, which makes it nice for beginners. And it's literally a cast and throw. As long as you're throwing it into cover, you're good. And that's literally the secret to it is open water, it'll catch fish, but you want to find where the fish are at. Lily pad stems, brush piles, stumps, anywhere realistically is where a swim jig is going to work. So get out there and give them a try. Buy you a handful and catch them up. Rods and reels, personally for me, it's a jig. So I'm using the same rod and reel setup, a 7-2 medium heavy rod, fluorocarbon line unless I'm in really thick vegetation. Then I go to braid, and I use 50-pound braid. And the reason I use heavy braid is not because of the strikes or anything, because I use 30-pound braid for tuna. But 50-pound braid because if I make a backlash, it's easy to pick it out. To a high-speed reel. Because I fish from a kayak, I strictly stick to high-speed reels. And I'll do a video on why that is here soon. But, yeah. Basically, just casting it, throwing it into those spots, or just fan casting, and giving it a nice, even retrieve, couple of pops, speed up, slow it down. Think crankbait, think lipless crankbait. Think vibrating jig. Simple, right? Cast it out, you kind of, pop it and drop it and make it lock it, or whatever that is. You see what I'm saying? Play with it a little bit. You'll find that you'll start catching bass. Ooh, if I did this, boom, I caught one. I did the same thing, I caught another one. There you go. Start learning from it. Get out there and fish. But yeah, if you like this video, like it, subscribe it. Again, do all that happy hoo-ha. It would be greatly appreciated, because the more you subscribe and get notifications and everything else, the more videos I'll put out. I promise. So again, get out there, fish you a jig. Again, this is the first part of this series, and I know you're going to like it. Thanks again, folks, and fish on. Blah.